Daniel Robinson was born on January 14, 1997, to David Robinson and Melissa Edmonds. He is the youngest of 4 children, and grew up in Columbia, South Carolina. His family described him as an incredibly bright mind who loved his family. He was born without his hand, and part of his forearm on his right side, but refused to let his physical disability prevent him from becoming an overachiever. From academics to sports, Daniel always excelled. He competed fervently with his siblings, wanting to outperform all of them. It is possible to say that Daniel has a strong passion for being on the lookout for thrills and adventure. In addition to these, he earned his way into college, and decided on geology in his freshman year. After graduating from College of Charleston in 2019, with a major in archaeology, he then attended a course in Tucson, and soon after was offered his job by the engineering firm Matrix New World in Phoenix, Arizona, and eventually moved to Arizona, where he was working. Initially, living with his friend, Pretzman, and then getting his own apartment in Tempe. Like any normal weekday, as a hydrogeologist, which meant he frequently met with representatives from companies who wanted to drill wells. It was a sultry, but not too sultry June morning. Daniel was to work on a deep well, along with his co-worker, Ken Elliott, who was a pump technician. On the morning of June 23, 2021, his workday began at 7 a.m. that morning. He had a meeting with the company Weber. According to some sources, their worksite sits in the desert, west of Sun Valley Parkway, just north of Cactus Road, at which is known for being a remote highway that travels through rugged Sonoran Desert in central Arizona, providing a scenic, non-stop route for riders. Along with having little traffic, the highway also has wide shoulders, offering an even more ideal setting for road biking. There are, however, no services or good resting spots along this route. His co-worker, Ken Elliott, noticed he would start behaving strangely, staring into the distance, and talking about things that did not make sense, and repeatedly looking off into the desert while working. It would be extremely out of character for Daniel before. I doubt whether he had been in serious trouble in his private life. But within a short time, Robinson became distracted while gazing out into the desert. "Do you want to go home? Do you want to go back to Phoenix?" Daniel asked. Then wanted to leave work early to rest, but Ken didn't want to. After about 15 minutes, Daniel waved goodbye, and drove off in his blue Jeep Renegade, and left the worksite abruptly, at which the pair was located. At first, Elliott doesn't think much of it, figuring Daniel must get back to Phoenix to rest, but as hours pass without hearing from him again. At this point, Elliott promptly realized that something was amiss for Daniel's behavior, cause Daniel didn't return to the worksite as he's supposed to. So, Elliott got in his vehicle, and began searching for Daniel, and found that instead of going left at a T-junction, to return to Phoenix, Robinson turned right deeper into the Sonoran Desert. He followed the path, trying to find Daniel, but was unsuccessful. He was reported missing to Buckeye Police Department the same day, and the police later carried out an exhaustive search of his missing area. Daniel's family flew up from South Carolina to join the search, which covered an area of 70 square miles. The search was led by Buckeye Police Department, using UTVs, cadaver dogs, searchers on foot, and drones flying overhead, along with assistance in the air, from Phoenix Firebird helicopters, and Civil Air Patrol. While Tempe police were dispatched to check Robinson's apartment, on June 24, they did not go inside. Police did not actually enter Robinson's home, until July 7, nearly 2 weeks, after he was reported missing. Civil Air Patrol, which is comprised of volunteers, who do air searches, was not contacted by police, until July 7. Detectives ultimately obtained a ping from Daniel's phone, but were unable to track it, due to the phone being off, or out of range. After obtaining his call records, they learned that he has not made any calls, or texts after leaving the job site. Buckeye Police Department detectives, along with Daniel's family, worked to obtain phone and financial information, but did not locate any information which would aid in locating him. Several mine shafts were searched in the area, but there was no sign of Daniel. Detectives and the family checked with Valley hospitals, and Daniel was placed in the national system as missing. That alerts any law enforcement if his name or vehicle was run through it. They also investigated a sighting, reported by an individual, who claimed to have had a brief encounter with Daniel in the Hassayampa River bottom the day he went missing. Digital evidence from Daniel's vehicle systems and electronic devices did not align with information provided by the reporting party. Finally, on July 19, 2021, almost a month after Daniel disappeared, a rancher, called Brandon Shelton, found his 2017 Jeep Renegade, with license plate NLA2CMA, in a ravine. It was just 4 miles from the worksite where he was last seen, but Daniel was not at the scene. The Jeep had landed on its side, with significant damage. Police said a seatbelt had been worn at the time, and the airbags were found deployed. One of Robinson's size 11.5 Red Wing work boots was stuck under the truck. Only feet from the car was an orange construction vest, work boots, and a pair of blue jeans, turned inside out. Police said they'd fished around in those pockets, and found Daniel's wallet. And inside the car was his college ID, his laptop, backpack, apartment keys, and cell phone. A lot of people found the scene puzzling, including Police Chief Larry Hall. The car's damage did not accurately represent the terrain in which it was found. Upon downloading the car's airbag control module, it was determined that the car was started at least 40 times after the airbags deployed. There was an additional 11 miles on the car since the airbags deployed, implying that the car was driven around after it had crashed. The system also shows that the car was likely crashed around 1 p.m., nearly 4 hours after Daniel was last seen. Upon learning of this information, forensic testing was finally conducted. Law enforcement took wet and dry swabs of various areas of the car. However, the results of those tests have not been made public. Shelton, whose cattle graze 14,000 acres in the Buckeye area, is convinced the car had only been in the ravine that leads to the Hassayampa River a short while when he came across it. The ravine was searched on the ground by foot, and in the air, by the Department of Public Safety Ranger helicopter, but they found no trace of Robinson. There was no blood found in the car, and there were no indications of foul play. According to Robinson's family, he never went more than 6 hours without speaking to his family, or without telling someone where he was going. When they hadn't heard from him in at least that long, they knew something was wrong. He also claimed local law enforcement initially took too long with the case. Multiple searches of the area where Robinson vanished have come up empty. On January 7, 2023, a skull and bones were found in the desert, but Robinson's father said it wasn't his son. In November 2021, a skull was found as a search party was looking for the missing geologist, but DNA results showed it wasn't him. On January 27, officers received a tip that there were human remains inside a well, half a mile north where Robinson was last seen, but no remains were actually at the well. On February 18, Buckeye Police and Maricopa County Sheriff's Office deputies did another search, with dozens of personnel and canine teams, but found nothing. To this day, his body has never been found. His family trying to get answer. And that's always been at the heart of Daniel's story, to find justice. In hopes of some clue, manifesting to lead to Daniel Robinson's disappearance.